Hello, coming live for a wonderful live stream of the Focal Radiance. Got these in for a demo from headphones.com through Focal, and so we will go ahead and kind of chat about these for a little bit. I only have one camera set up for now, so you'll have to deal with only seeing it from this angle, but wanted to kind of talk about basically the build first, and then kind of move over like kind of aesthetics, that fun stuff, and then we'll start doing some live impressions and stuff. Right off the bat, you have the lovely Bentley logo. It's actually a little bit more subdued than you'd think, comparatively to the Focal Radiance logo, but it does say Focal for Bentley. So if you don't like wearing products like that on your head, that's probably a no-go. But it actually has a really nice name. I don't know how to pronounce that name kind of design for the outer layer here, and then has a layer of leather underneath that, and then it has the new like, so basically with the old, I have the Stelia here. So with the older closebacks like the Stelia and the Elysia, they had this, you can see the Focal logo, and I don't think I can get a good focus on it, but there's actually a mesh there, and that's actually a port for the kind of to get the SPL down. But this one, it's now underneath the little plate there, and actually it's underneath that, so it actually ports out that way. So kind of interesting. Inside, nice leather. It reminded me of the Stelia pads, to be honest, but they have the yeah, it has that one, the Empire Ears. Is it Empire Ears, I think, that has a similar logo with the wings. Wow, I'm not really getting a good view of these. They're not really wanting to get focused on the inside here, but I wonder if I can get let's get a light real quick to shine on this so you can get an idea of what. Oh, that's the wrong color. My workout went a little bit long today, so I'm a little bit behind on my prep here. See if I can get this to shine. Well, let's block my face first off. There we go. And we get these in here, shine in there, focus in. Well, I'm not gonna. Here we go. We'll just do this. I'm struggling to show you guys the inside of these things. There you go. You can kind of see it has like a diamond shape to the yeah, come on. Well, there's a diamond shape on the inner part of that. On the inner part of the thing here to give it a little more breathing there, and then it has the same design layer underneath as the Stelia's pads, and then very similar inner cup design. Outside of that, we have the nicer cup, the nicer like add-ons, like the copper accents and stuff is really nice, whereas they're silver on the Stelia, and they don't have the little like ridges on them. So, but overall, like, honestly, this reminds me, the build quality in and of itself is very reminiscent of the Stelia, to be honest. It's almost like they took repainted a Stelia and then added some different cup design and accents, and then even the headband up here has a diamond style, like cutouts for breathing, I'm assuming breathability maybe, or just straight up design. So moving on to that, the cable that comes with it, well, at least the demo cable, very nice. It has the classic Focal style, but it has a really nice like little accents on there, kind of cool. Lots of little R's to say, hey, this is the right side. Plugs in easily. Another basic split with a cool little accent to it. Nothing crazy. Thing is, though, this thing is short. Like, it's probably about as long as my arm, so about 3 feet. Yeah, about 3 foot. It's about a meter cable, so very short. So I actually had to pull my TT2 closer to me to get that to play nice. So with that being said, comfort-wise, they fit just like the Stelia, so that's pretty nice. They have a nice comfort to them. The pads are pretty cushy. In fact, I think the pads are actually almost, I have to do a little AB here, but I want to say the pads are actually like more airy, like airy would be a good word, I guess. Yeah, they're definitely more airy. Like they're not as firm as the Stelia cups, and I think they might about the same depth. But for whatever reason, last night, for instance, maybe it was just the way I was on my head last night. But last night I was listening to these, and my ears were actually touching the inner cups. So that was kind of interesting. I've never had that happen before. But they do feel like they're a little bit softer than the Stelias. Maybe just a slightly different leather. And with that, I guess we can go into music. Yeah, they're way softer than what I recall the Elysia pads being. I don't have the Elysias with me anymore, but these are definitely soft. Like they're very comfy, and they compress. You can kind of see they compress pretty well on the head, and that might be why my ears kind of touch just a tiny bit. So with that, I guess go into some music real quick and see what we got for sound. I will say, and then we'll kind of do an A/B at the end with the Stelia to kind of go over what that kind of sound signature is comparatively to these. But I believe these are more in line with like a different tuning of the Elysia is what I'm picking up from. So that's where I'm at with those. Isolation, it feels let's do a quick twist for that. Twist. Do a test for isolation, Martin. It feels like these might actually have a little more clamp force, which means they probably do have a little more isolation. I do feel like I have more isolation with these, to be honest. I don't feel like I'm in a cave with these on, and with these I feel like I'm, in a cave, or in a room. Like, yeah, these have better isolation, it seems like, right off the bat. And I'm wearing glasses too, so I guess. So testing, like talking, like it feels like I can't hear myself talk as good. So I'll probably be talking loud into the microphone. And my mic's above me. I'm trying a new setup here. I'm trying to rearrange and get stuff more organized. Yeah, the Radiance has more isolation for sure. Hey, what's going on, Dutch Master? Day's going good. Had a good workout. Jumping into this, got some delicious tea and some water. Doing a stream, listening to music. How's your day going? How's everybody else's day going? So yeah, go right into this. Real quick before I go into it, based on my listening with them so far, I originally was going to say that they have a Elysia sound, but with an elevated bass and treble. But the more I listen to them, the less I think that's accurate. I was also saying that they kind of remind me of the Elysia with the Stelia tuning, but I also don't think that that's quite accurate as well, especially after A-Bing with the Stelia, and I'll kind of go over that in a bit. But I will say that the bass is definitely elevated comparatively from my memory of the Elysia. Everything's pushed more forward. It's a little more up-tempo, a little more kind of in your face with everything, but not in a bad way. It's still a pretty decent listen. A little bit, I would say it's definitely V-shaped sounding. And I haven't really looked at the FR, but I think I linked Resolve's his impression video, and also the forum posts regarding these, and that has Resolve's frequency responses for these. I haven't really looked at them. If you don't know, I'm not the biggest frequency response guy. These do look very nice, honestly. Dutch Master, they have that really nice black. They're really nice feeling, nice smooth black. Honestly, like if the Stelia looked like this, it would be a game over for me. I'd definitely be buying one of those Stelias, even though I have the other Stelia. But let's see here. I do hope, because these are also, another thing is these are limited edition, obviously for the Bentley side of the house. So that I think that there's only going to be a certain amount of these in the run, and then I'm hoping, because we had that call with Focal a while back on the Headphone show, and they were talking about new products coming out, so obviously this was one of them. So I'm hoping that this is a sign of another SKU, maybe, hopefully, down the road. But I don't know. But I'm hoping, because these are really nice. I do agree. And maybe like a without the Bentley tax on there, if that makes sense. Because these are definitely a little bit more pricey, but they put a lot more effort into it. So they basically took a Stelia build and put them into a lower, I'm assuming like a lower transducers and not lower, but there's a different tier, like a tier down, obviously. So yeah, on to music instead of me jibber jabbing. Oh, 5-day free long weekend. That's awesome. Oh man, you got some great pictures, I bet, Martin. That sounds like a fantastic time. I went mushroom hunting last weekend for the first time, and it was crazy because I took my 4-year-old, so I was dragging her through like the underbrush of like the mountains looking for these mushrooms that it had just frozen, so it was like not a good. It was the mushrooms were, I guess you can't. There's a certain window to get mushrooms apparently. So and we were just getting chanterelles and these things called lobster mushrooms, which are like this white mushroom that gets infected and then it turns it red and then it tastes really good supposedly, but we didn't have too much luck. So but we got some chanterelles and we got a couple lobsters and they taste pretty good. Anyways. Let's see here. What kind of music do we want to start with? Let's do Georgia Smith Rose Rouge. It's kind of a jazzy R&B kind of jam. Really good vocals too. And I'm listening at about 75 to 80 dB for loudness. With jazz, it's almost too quiet. And this song starts quiet anyways, so I'll kind of scrub through it. And so the bass is not like the star of the show, but it's definitely elevated. And he has a nice like kick drum is really nice, and the snares are really nice, and like the brushes on drums really nice, and vocals are pretty good too. Let's see here. This track, her voice is more forward, but it's still also pulled back because it's got that jazzy sound to it. I would say the highlight for this is her voice and then the snares or the brushes on the drums and the drums. Let's see here. Try another random one. And if there's any tracks you want me to hear, let me yeah, mushrooms are kind of crazy. There's only like a very few that you can pick from. This is the first time I ever went, so the people we went with, they knew very specifically only 2 to grab. Sorry, random side thing. So then the trumpet comes in, and the trumpet sounds really clean here. And these are definitely more forward than Elysia. I would say these are like an upgraded Elysia with the sound. Like it's more energetic. Where the Elysia had a more of a laid back, pulled back sound signature. These ones a little more forward, more energetic. And the trebles, it's a more fun headphone, if that makes sense. It's not like a V shape either, like not like a proper V shape. The mids are actually pretty good, but it definitely has an elevated bass, and the treble seems to be upper mids and treble and the highs seem to be elevated. I'm speaking in frequency range stuff, but that's kind of what I'm getting there. Let's go for a bassy track here. Maybe Billie Eilish. Bad Guy. This is a pretty bassy one. So the bass on this is it's clean sounding. Has that very focal precision. It doesn't bloat too much into the mids. And then her voice is very warm and forward and very intimate with these. And so I have crossfeed on the TT2 right now. Hey, what's up, Resolve? And so like her voice is it's almost behind me a little bit. Maybe it's just the way it's on my head, but it kind of pops. It sounds like it's right here and kind of pulls forward. And then the snaps are pulled back, but they're crisp. Pretty good. And her voice is definitely the star of the show. So that depending on the mastering, that will change how obviously the sound is. The Radiance is good. I still think I prefer the Stelia over these. But obviously for the price, these are pretty good. They're definitely a fun. Yeah, I'll throw that on next, Martin. They're definitely a fun headphone, but they're clean. Like I would say they're, as far as my closed backs go, like Verite Closed, Stelia are my top 2 closed backs, and then Elysia was up there as number 3, I believe. And I think these definitely take that spot. They definitely knock the Elysia out of that running. And controversially, I do like the HD820 as another one. Let's see here. Excuse the tappies. Oh, looks like am I still on with you guys? Hopefully. Looks like Koba's decided to die on me. So 1 second. It looks like it might be back up. Yeah, Koba's decided to go poop on me. 1 second. Demons of Pain. Good thing I was about to switch tracks. Closed back headphones in the $500 range. If you're looking for, honestly, the Elysia, if you can find an Elysia Dutch, those are actually really good. They're basically they're like a silver and black version of these, and they don't have as much of a forward bass and treble, but they have a really nice sound. And those were I wore the crap out of those things, man. I wore them a lot. Those are one of my most used headphones. So the Elysia, if you can get them, which I think they sell them now on average about $400, roughly $400 to $500. So those are a really great headphone for closed backs. Outside of that, you're going to run into most of the stuff in that closed back range, and under 500 is going to be more V-shaped from my understanding or my experience. But I think like the V-Moda makes some pretty decent ones for 500 closed backs. Trying to think. Yeah, V-Moda, or honestly, even just going all the way, like even just going with like a Sony, any of the Sonys would probably be decent. Trying to think if there were the other ones there'd be. I mean, maybe I'm trying to think. There's not really too many. Aeon Close, yeah, that'd be a good one. But that one kind of, some people get kind of hit or miss with that. But infected mushrooms. All right. There you go. Demons of Pain, infected mushrooms. Oh yeah, AKG K371. Perfect. Yeah. That's actually a good one. That's I was trying to think of that one. Thank you, Resolve. That was the one I was trying to think, like round in my brain. I was like, there's this one that just came out that everyone's been really liking. Let's see here. Wow, this is nice, Martin. I always forget about infected mushrooms. They're such a good group. It has the stage is definitely Focal stage, where it's like in your head more, but it's nice. It still has really good like back and forth with that. The pops are really cool. Like you can hear the pops from singing, and then the pops from like the water drops. It's really cool. It has almost like a mini 3D effect, but it's like in my head though. Oh, the Emuteek's another good one. That's more of like the replacement for the Fostex THXOOs, I believe. And you can swap the cups and get some pretty, you can kind of customize that way if you like. So yeah, the Emuteek's are really good. Android has them, I believe, with the rosewood cup, which are beautiful. So this one, the voice is slightly back. I'll put Nightwish on next, Aaron. You just want to see if I can talk through the Nightwish tracks. So I think, wow, that was really cool. Like that moment right there. So at 125 to 130, they had this really cool, like, it's happening again, like, and it goes between both ears. It sounds really cool. So the vocals are a little bit pulled back with this track on these. A little muffled sounding, but everything else is pretty good. Tonal balance seems pretty good too. It's not, like, honestly, it kind of has that similar Elysia feel where it's, I can listen to it and it's there. These are definitely more energetic than the Elysia though. Or I got a couple of options here. But I like this track. This is really nice with I'm on the TT2, by the way. So I'm on the fully just only on the TT2. So let's see here. Which track of Nightwish should I do, Taryn? Let's see here. Is it Wishmaster was the one that we did last time? Was it The Greatest Show on Earth? I think was that one of them. That was freaking ridiculously long. I forgot how long those tracks are. Let's see here. I'll just pick a random one here. Ghost Loves. Oh, there we go. Well, while we wait for Nightwish stuff, let's see. We'll go Nano War of the Ghost. Okay, I'll do Ghost Love. See here, real quick. Nano War. Sneeze Tim of Yon or Vala Hallelujah. This is for Resolve. Vocals are cool right off the bat. I'm gonna scrub a little bit so I can get to more tracks. It's definitely some Norwegian rock here. It's hard to talk through this track. It's very fast. It's handling the speed of the drums and the vocals, and it's actually pulled back a little bit. And I'm trying not to talk loud because this is definitely in your face. But it's definitely a stage. It's definitely like more brought down into my head. And it's fast. He's keeping up. Yeah. It was a meme song. Okay. Yeah, these are... Okay, let me go to Nightwish. Here you go. Ghost of Love, live at Wembley. Oh, that's a good one. You can hear it definitely has that live sound where it's still in my head, but it's like a weird thing. Like it feels very wide, but in like a little, like almost like I'm looking in at the concert, like in VR or something, the stage for these. Like it's weird. It's like I'm a big head looking at the concert or something. I don't know. But it sounds good. See if I can scrub through to get some more of the... To me, it sounds like it has that Elysia factor where it kind of sounds a little pulled back. Let me turn up the volume. Her voice is fantastic. Yeah, so her voice is really good, really forward. And the speed of the music is, you can keep up with it. It keeps up with it just fine. But it definitely has that more Elysia, like if you pay attention, it's energetic and it's there. But if you need to, you could be probably working and not be totally overwhelmed by these. These just better for that, but these you can still do a similar thing. They're definitely like it's. I'm trying to think what like it feels like the. It has a very like it's got this great like transient, like it transitions very quickly and nicely. I like it. It doesn't have the separation of, say, like the Arya or Ananda, but it has a nice, or it's there, but it's almost slightly blended better. All right, let's go to Pink Floyd. Kind of, it moves across pretty decently in that beginning. The piano's nice. It's only only 2 or 3 now, but I like the way that it sounds more natural to me, like the way I would think a piano would, you know, especially with hitting just one key at a time. I like the tonal bounce for the piano. It's nice. The wind going in the background, kind of, it initially was like way in your face, and now it's kind of buzzing behind my head a little bit. And the vocals are much nicer. So nice vocal sound there. His voice is really nice. The interesting thing with him is it's got a really nice, for certain, like this track, like it has a really nice mid-range, it seems like. But then other tracks, it seems like the mid-range is sucked out a little bit, but that could just be the mastering and stuff like that. Yeah, this is good. He has the piano, and his vocals are really, really good. So I know that there's some other instruments here I wanted to see if I can. And you can hear people like way over here like yelling. That's cool. They're like almost like they're way over here and behind me a little bit. Oh, the TT2 is ridiculously overpowers these. I can run these off of my DAP. I can run these off of my phone, no problem, Alex. Like there's these are, I'd almost say these are more of a portable headphone than like a desktop set. They definitely, and actually that's the other thing with these. Like I would not feel awkward. I mean, outside of the Bentley thing, walking around with these, like I could easily walk around and feel okay wandering around with these on. Outside of the fact that they're expensive, but a little bit flashy, but not too. They're a little subdued enough to where they're flashy, but not super flashy, and they look nice. I could easily go to a coffee shop, wear these, and be happy. And then they have a short. I mean, the demo set only came with the short cable, so I'm assuming there'll be a longer cable. But I'm listening to music. Mike's probably picking up the music. They're definitely very easy to drive, because I was using my iPhone with the best dongle DAC, the best DAC amp you can get right now, and they were driving it just fine with the iPhone. So it definitely gets a little better with a proper DAP or like a amp or what have you. It gets, like anything, you give it a little more power, it's going to get a little more oomph to it, a little more easier to drive, that kind of thing. But yeah, let's see, how do they compare with Stelias? And I'll get to the Stelias here in a sec. I'll do one more track. I'll do this Dream Theater, Fall Into the Light, and then I'll do a quick A-B with the Stelias for you guys. Let's see. Damn, I haven't heard Dream Theater in forever. It has been a minute. And then how do you guys like seeing the... Wait, where's... How do you like seeing the bar of what I'm listening to? Oh man, this keeps up nice. Actually, it has the speed. Let me turn it up a smidge. Man, the drums on this is really nice. Like especially the kick drum. I think that's that elevated bass just makes this. It just sounds really good with elevated bass. And the drums and the guitar are really nice. Yeah, me too, Martin. I love black and copper is one of my all-time favorite looks. Black and purple is also another good one. Wow. The drums just, it's keeping up really well with the drums. It does have this, like it has the drums pulled back a little bit. So I'd say more like accurate, like the singer's definitely more forward. So it definitely has like a proper, like the singer, the drummer. I'm picking up a guitar. Yeah, it sounds good. It's keeping up really well. What's up, Marcello? What's up, bro? Yeah, it's pretty it's I can't fault it, if that makes sense. Like there's nothing here that I'm really. It has actually a pretty nice upper mid, and it's not quite a sparkle, but it has a nice presence there, especially for vocals. Like him, when he gets into the higher notes, when he's elevated, it sounds really nice. Let's see here. Okay, and that's something else it's kind of interesting about, like especially as you go up in headphone tiers, or however you want to call it, like the capabilities or technicalities of a headphone. You start to, that's when I think things like the mastering matters for different tracks and that kind of thing, and like the quality of your chain and those things, because they start to reveal those things to you more, right? Like you can start to pick up on these things that are like, okay, maybe that's not the greatest thing, or like, you know, it's because of what they used to call it, like the loudness wars, that kind of stuff. But you could have like something that's a good option, like a Sony XM3 or XM4, whatever the closed back Bluetooth headphones are, something like that. You can listen to something that's not quite as well recorded, and it isn't going to be as big of a deal. But as soon as you start moving up into the higher echelons of the headphone world, it definitely starts to you start to pick up when like things aren't quite right. And I'm not the best at it. I'm more of the hippie of the kind of group there. Yeah, purple cable, surprising, shocker. But anyhow, let me go back to this Dream Theater with the Stelia, and we'll kind of see how that pans. It's right away, it loses that pulled back. Hey, Drift, that pulled back sound. It doesn't have that anymore. But the bass is actually better, not better. The bass is more forward, and there's more bass with these. And these are warmer also, which is a shocker because these are pretty warm. I'm picking up the transitions and the separation better. It's crisper, cleaner, better presence, faster. It's definitely faster. I can pick it. It's just definitely picking up the drums and snares a little bit better, which is funny. It almost makes these sound not muddy, but blended a little. It's kind of interesting. And these aren't. I wouldn't even call these really that much of a bleed or a blend too much into the other ranges or other, like the transition between instruments, separation, brain work. Tonal balance sounds a little bit better too with the Stelia. But I mean, you're also talking like these are 3 times more expensive than these, at least. So I mean, there's that. So that's something you have to think about too with these things, right? Like price to performance and like what that kind of thing. It's relatively different technologies too are in these. These are using a different driver. Oof. The hi-hats and like the drums on with these, pretty great. Let me pause so I can take these off. I'm probably gonna get nailed because I have these playing at the same time. Well, not that I'm whatever. Hopefully, I just don't get takedown, whatever. But let's see here. Unplug these so we can switch back. It's definitely close, but this has a cleaner sound. Yeah, if only they weren't brown. I agree. They do grow on you though. The color did grow on me, but it's I do. If they had this look, I mean these are almost right there as far as sound goes. But these definitely have a stronger bass, and I want to say the treble's a little bit, or the highs are a little bit more forward. And it's a different type of bass too, though, Ravi. It's kind of like it still has that Christmas. It's just elevated, and not by a lot. It's just enough to where you're like, oh, that has more bass. So another thing that's interesting with these is that the compared to these ones, the bass is definitely like it's funny because I was initially when I was listening to these without listening to these, I listened to these for a couple of days, and I was like, oh, it's the Elysia with the Stelia tuning is what my initial thought process on these were. And then the more I listened to these, I almost had, and it's been a while since I've heard them, but I almost feel like these sound like they almost remind me of the Elysia of all the Focal headphones. They have like it's that's kind of the sound I'm getting from them from memory, mind you. So I'd have to have an Elysia to do it back to back, but that's kind of the from memory what I'm picking up from these. They almost have like an Elysia with an Elysia tuning, if that makes sense. So it has that pulled back kind of like smooth, easy listening, fast Elysia sound that's like easy to listen to, but with the Elysia amp. Well, Marcello, if you look at the little dialog box above my head and you look over and you'll see exactly what I'm listening with. Jokes aside, I'm listening with the TT2 in amp DAC mode, so it's an all-in-one amp DAC that I'm using. It's made by CHORD Hugo. It's the CHORD Hugo TT2. So that's what I'm using currently, and I'm using it. I'm thinking it might be my new full desktop replacement for solid state and DAC. So, but we'll see. We'll see how that pans. But yeah, let's see here. Yeah. That's I think that's where I'm. That's Rizal. That's probably a good point. I should probably pull up your frequency response on it because I haven't really looked at it, to be honest with you, because I didn't really want to have it color my opinion of these at all until I did this. But it maybe that's what it is. I would have to look at it, but the yeah, like there's definitely something going on with the upper treble or upper high, like it definitely feels like it's elevated there, but there's something there in the treble in the high somewhere where it does feel like it's kind of pulled back. So that's probably I'd look at the FR and see if that's what it is. But overall, I mean, if you're willing to pay the Bentley tax and you can get in on the limited editions and get the pre-order in and everything, so I think there's only so many going out in the world of these. They're definitely. Do they compete with the Stelia? If that's what you're asking, or if that was a thing. I think that they do if you like bass and a little more V-shape. But then I think these are smoother, cleaner, and they're faster, a little more presence, energy. Where these ones have that same kind of compared to the Elysia from memory. These have it's kind of like comparing. These are like what these to the Elysia or what these are to these, if that makes sense. So it's like a definite like tiered up kind of approach. They just improve here and there, but then these do definitely have a more bass shelf, and then they especially with the bassy tracks and if you can get them on. So I have them on the ECP T4 hybrid tube amp, and with that you get a little bit of tube flavor and low gain, and these really can come alive with a nice low gain hybrid tube amp or low Z tube amp. These really do get really nice, and yeah, I'll try EQ every once in a while just for science, but don't expect me to maintain it. Yeah, so these are definitely some of the more fun headphones I've listened to, especially for closeback. I think I would prefer these to most of, actually, honestly, most closebacks outside of the Verite closed and the Stelia. These are probably the best I've heard outside of those two. And I'm also a bit of a weirdo. I did like the HD820 once I had a good seal with it. So, but I know that's a controversial one, so I won't kind of comment too much on it. But I did like the HD820 for what it did with that. But I do think that of the closebacks, probably Focal outside of the Verite is probably the king of the closebacks for me personally. In a little bit pricey, but with the Elysia, it's a good deal if you can get one. And then hopefully this is a sign of things to come from Focal. Oh, Rush, what up, my man? Yeah, so if everyone didn't know yet, Rush has become a Focal speaker monitor and speaker guy aficionado. He's got a pretty sweet Focal desktop setup right now, and it looks like something that would probably push him away from his his desk. It's a pretty ridiculously awesome little setup there. But yeah, so I think unless there's any other questions, we can dive into those real quick, and then I think that was basically my live impression of these and a quick comparison. I would say once again, between, why am I doing that? These two. Hey, Elric, what's up? I'm actually between these two, I would say that it would be, these are like what. So let's rethink how I would say this. The Elysia would be here. These are definitely a step above the Elysia, and then these are definitely a step above these. So that's in I think that I think there's definitely a little bit of a price tax you're paying for the Bentley and the limited edition and the colorway. So like I was saying, hopefully this is a sign to come that Focal will have something in the future that's maybe just the standard Focal. I don't know if I can handle any more Nightwish and Dream Theater back to back to back and trying to talk through listening to those tracks. But needless to say, these are basically from memory. I almost think that these are an Elysia with an Elir tuning, Elric, to some degree, not completely, obviously. But these are really nice. They actually have a really nice bass shelf. They sound good. They're clean. They're fast. They have a little bit of that Elysia pulled back sound. That's kind of smooths things out a little bit. But outside of that, but it's really minor. But overall, I would say these are pretty fantastic. They definitely hit the third place mark for my closebacks. So it'd be like, once again, Verite closed, Stelia, and then these would be how I'd rate closebacks for my favorite closebacks personally. Once again, I also think it's a little bit interesting that the pads, they definitely don't have as much springiness as the Stelia. Initially I thought they were the same, but you can kind of see these spring back a little bit more. It seems like there's a little more filler in these. These also have a little more isolation than the Stelia, which I thought was interesting. And they also, let's see here, but outside of that, honestly, as far as build goes, they're almost identical, minus obviously the special kind of cup design differences. I really like the name cup design. It's really nice, and they do have, it looks like a layer of black leather or maybe fake leather underneath, but they definitely have that very like Stelia build quality to them. They feel premium, which I would expect with having that logo on there. My only gripe currently, which is probably going to be fixed with the actual release of these, because the demo only came with this cable, which is a very short 1 meter cable or 3 foot cable. So I had to pull my amp closer so I could do this. And yeah, with that being said, I think that's kind of the basis of where I'm at with these. So if there's any questions or any tracks you want me to listen to, I'm not sure how much that's going to do for you, but I did find with EDM, they were really awesome. I found with hip hop or the bass was really nice in a lot of hip hop, especially if I put them on the T4, the ECP T4. other thing, I really like jazz blues with these, because they still, because you know, jazz blues or classical music, a lot of those things, they actually have a you have to turn the volume a little bit with them. The way they're mastered, they tend to be a little bit quieter, so you have to turn the volume up a little bit. But once you get that right SPL, it's they really sing. They're really good with those. I do think I would, if I had these both sitting on my desk, I'd probably always grab these ones. But to be fair, they are a lot more expensive, and they do have a better overall profile. And if I had the VC sitting there, I'd definitely grab the VC most. But yeah, K-pop. Okay, let's do a K-pop song. Get throwing at me, Drift, and we'll drifting. We'll let's. I think he's heard my Verite close, I think, but only briefly. Let's see. If you don't throw one at me, I'm gonna do Pink with Selena Gomez. All right, it's gonna be Pink, Blackpink. Sorry, Blackpink. Blackpink? Is that right? Because that's the only one I know of that's a K-pop. I'm new to the worlds of K-pop. Let's see here. Oh, Baby Metal. That's not quite K-pop, but I do know Baby Metal. Baby Metal's pretty good. Let's see here. Here you go. Oh. Yeah, see. Let's see here. Bass is really good here. You know, there's no sibilance, which I think a lot of people are worried about. I think that's the supposed issue with K-pop, is that it's bright. They're definitely bright. It's definitely bright. It's just energetic. It's fun. Vocals are really nice, honestly, with these. The bass is definitely that sub bass, kind of has this burnt. Let's scrub through a little bit further. It's definitely on the brighter side with the vocals, but nothing's egregious. It sounds good. Yeah, I like this. It's fine. Just vocals are good. Baby Metal. I'm just grabbing the first one. I chose Gimme Chocolate, Elnrick. Ooh. And now my brain's melting. I can't answer if they're better than Bears. Holy speed, Batman. Wow. This is hard. This is harder to talk over than Nightwish, Elnrick. Wow. It's keeping up, though. I'm getting the separation. It's very fast. It's definitely keeping up. It makes me want to. If I had long hair, I'd be throwing it all over the place. But thankfully, and then the vocals has that bright vocals, sharp vocals. This is an intense listen. Goes into singing, but it's keeping up. Easily kept up, and the bass is nice. It's kind of very wall of noise. Okay. Ah. All right. For the Bears response, these aren't as bright as Bears, I would think. These aren't as stabby, I would say. But they have a nice presence there. Honestly, I would say if you could. If you're willing to pay the Bentley tax, these are pretty good, and they look good. So that's probably the factor you're paying for too, is looks, I'm assuming, as well. Limited edition, all that fun stuff. Yeah, that was intense, Elnrick. That was definitely an intense listen. I definitely recommend Taryn to listen to Baby Metal, Gimme Chocolate, or Baby Metal, any of that stuff. I think Taryn would really like that stuff, to be honest. And Titian, you'd probably like it a lot too. Let's see here. As far as the comparison to Bears, these are warmer than Bears, more bass. They would not be as bright in the treble, I would say, and they wouldn't. I'm trying to think, would they compete? I'd have to get some Bears in. It's been a while. I personally prefer these over my off my memory of the Bear dynamics. These seems like better tonal balance and more even keeled across the frequency range. So that's my answer for that, Drifting Bunnies. Yeah, I was talking probably pretty loud. Sorry about that. And my mic's in a new position. It's above me, so it's I'm pointing down. So I was trying to see what that would do. Get on the if you want to get on the ZMF November sale, pre-November sale for that one's a little bit difficult, but maybe get lucky and see something on sale from a used market. Outside of that, the only way to really get in on it from ZMF is that you need to sign up for their email newsletter, and then they'll send them out as they come up. So hopefully everyone can get a VC that they want, because those are fantastic headphones. All right, with that, I think if there's any other questions, this one actually went a little bit longer than I was expecting or going, but any other questions, and I'll jump into those. But real quick, while I'm waiting for those, are these worth I think they're going for just around $1,300 roughly. It might be plus or less. I put the link below in the headphones.com's pre-orders for these. So you can find out there, and then also the link below in the description. There's Resolve's impression video, and then the forum with the forum community talking about these, and then Resolve has his measurements and some of his thoughts, and some other community members talking about these. But overall, let's say, honestly, I'd almost buy these just purely for the look of them because they are very pretty. They have a nice premium feel. The sound is right there. It's like I said, top 3 for me for closebacks. The build quality is quite fantastic. Isolation is actually better than the Stelia, and as I recall, better than the Elysia, which is pretty impressive. They do have, to me, more of that Alere tuning. If you've ever heard an Alere, has that more elevated bass. And then from there, ZMF B stock for ZMFs usually are a couple $100 off the B stock, to be honest. For the Bitter Buffalo, usually it's a couple $100, depending. I think I've seen like the Tours go for like $900 roughly. Something like that. Aeolus will usually go for like $1,000 or maybe $900, just depending on what the B stock is of them and what the wood is, if it's a limited run or not. And Deathmatch. Let's see here. What were you saying? Radiance versus Clears, Deathwatch style. Ooh. Deathwatch works too. That's pretty cool. Clears. Honestly, man, Clears just have that magic to them that I think that Clears are really hard to beat. I think if you're looking for a fun closeback, these would do it, especially a little bit cheaper than the Clears. The Clears do, from my memory, I think sound better than these for tonal balance and overall preference for me. These I would consider a more fun sounding. I could see wearing these around town or going out to a coffee shop and listening while working, or maybe I was walking around taking pictures or something like that. But yeah, I would say the Clears for me would also win out over these as far as sound quality. I do think that these beat the Clears. These actually beat almost majority of headphones outside of ZMF for looks, though. I mean, these things to me personally are beautiful. They really did a knockout job with the design of the cups to the colorway. It just these are really nice looking. But that being said, hopefully they come with a better, or not better, but longer cable. And this cable is a little bit janky, just as a heads up. You might see it in some of my pictures that I did for these. It was a little bit tough getting the cable to lay the way I wanted. I think some of them I just gave up and let them go everywhere. So real quick, final thoughts. Fantastic, fun, beautiful headphones. I'd almost buy them purely just for the looks and fun sound of being able to walk around, go to a coffee shop, and not be too like blatant in people's like seeing them. They kind of have a nice look to them, more subdued, being all black with just the copper accents or rose gold accents. I think it's more copper in person. It's more of a copper look. And yeah, with that, and the Stelia definitely for sound beats them. I think that the Clears also beat them for sound. Overall sound preference or sound signature to me personally, I think of them as that Elysia with an Ear tuning, so a little bit more elevated bass, a little more elevated treble, and there's a little bit of, I think Resolve nailed it. I think the lower treble or lower highs, I don't want to say it, there's a little dip there, and I think that's where that kind of pulled back signature is coming from. But it's not bad. It still has a nice presence. They're fully there. Really fun, enjoyable headphone. And I honestly, definitely one of the best looking I've seen, and they sound great. They compete easily in the closed back realm, and easily, to my opinion, beat most closed backs outside of the ones I listed. And yeah, so with that, I think we can say sayonara and let you guys get back to your lunches or days or what have you, and see you guys on the next one. So thanks for joining, and I'll chat with you guys later. I think we'll have a headphone show tomorrow, I think at 10, and then we will have Radiance versus Cost Porter Pro. Oof, that's tough. Those Porter Pros are my go-to everyday carry. Those are constantly in my bag, so those are like my backup of everything. And with the Yaxi pads, they make them fantastic. They're hard to beat for the price. You're talking like under $40 probably versus a $1,200. But Yaxi, yeah, the Cost Porter Pros are definitely a must. Everyone should just have those in their stable of headphones, just because they're so cheap and they sound great for what they are. Yeah, so anyways, I'll let you guys have your day back. So thanks for joining, and I'll chat with you guys next time. Headphone show tomorrow, 10, and then we might be doing a show on Friday. We're trying to decide what it's going to be for not a Hi-Fi After Dark, but maybe a Hi-Fi After Dark. We'll see. All right, cheers everybody. Thanks.